Hey everybody, welcome back for Act 3 of Hamlet. To begin with, I need to remind you of something. Polonius has gone to the king and queen and told them, I know why Hamlet's acting kind of bonkers. I think he's in love with my daughter Ophelia, and I told Ophelia to give him the brush off, and I think this has pushed him over the edge. So what I want to do is hide somewhere. King, you and I, we should hide somewhere behind a curtain, something like this. And then tell Ophelia to go strike up a conversation with Hamlet. And during this conversation, which we're going to be listening in on, we will find out what his problem is. And that's what starts Act 3. We have the king and the queen, Polonius and his daughter Ophelia, and remember Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who have been summoned to Elsinore, summoned to Denmark to basically spy on Hamlet, to pump him for information, to find out what's going on. The king is talking to them, and he says, and can you, by no drift of conference, get from him why he puts on this confusion? Grating so harshly all his days of quiet with turbulent and dangerous lunacy? Can you not, in talking to him, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, figure out what's going on? Rosencrantz says, he does confess him, he feels himself distracted, but from what cause it will by no means speak. Nor do we find him forward to be sounded, but with a crafty madness keeps aloof when we would bring him on to some confession of his true state. His madness seems crafty, like it's got a point underneath. And of course, we know it does. He wants to find out, was his father really murdered? The queen asks, did he receive you well? Most like a gentleman, but with much forcing of his disposition. He seemed like he had to force himself to be civil, to be pleasant. Niggard of question, but of our demands most free in his reply. Did you essay him to any pastime? Madam, it so fell out that certain players we o'erwrought on the way. Of these we told him, and there did seem in him a kind of joy to hear of it. They're here about the court, and, as I think, they have already ordered this night to play before him. Polonius says, 'tis most true, and he beseeched me to entreat your majesties to hear and see the matter. With all my heart, and it doth much content me to hear him so inclined. Good gentlemen, give him a further edge and drive his purpose into these delights. Encourage him. Okay, he's got something he's interested in. These players, encourage him. We shall, my lord. And they leave. Sweet Gertrude, leave us too, for we have closely sent for Hamlet hither, that he, as 'twere by accident, may here affront Ophelia. Her father and myself, lawful espials, will so bestow ourselves, that seeing unseen, we may of their encounter frankly judge, and gather by him, as he has behaved, if it be the affliction of his love or no that thus he suffers for. The queen says, I shall obey you, and for your part, Ophelia, I do wish that your good beauties be the happy cause of Hamlet's wildness. So shall I hope your virtues will bring him to his wonted way again. To both your honors. Madam, I wish it may. And she leaves. And Ophelia's father says to her, Ophelia, walk you here. Gracious, so please you, we will bestow ourselves. And then speaks to Ophelia again. Read on this book, that show of such an exercise may color your loneliness. Oh, walk around, Ophelia, and pretend to read this book. It'll make you look lonely. We are oft to blame in this. 'Tis too much proved, that with devotion's visage and pious action, we do sugar o'er the devil himself. He says, you know, if you put on a particular countenance or face, you can sugar o'er the devil himself. You can make what isn't true seem true. The king, to himself, says, oh, 'tis too true. How smart a lash that speech doth give my conscience. The harlot's cheek, beautied with plastering art, is not more ugly to the thing that helps it than is my deed to my most painted word. Oh, heavy burden. The king has just clued us in on something as the audience. He feels like he is saying words that don't match up with his deeds. What deeds? If that ghost was telling the truth, he killed his brother. Polonius, I hear him coming. Let's withdraw, my lord. And they hide. Enter Hamlet while Ophelia pretends to read a book. And Hamlet now says the most famous portion of this play. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. The question is, do I want to be or not to be? Do I want to keep on living? Do I want to exist or not to exist? Do I put up with the slings and arrows of fortune, or do I oppose them by ending them? I could kill myself right now, and it would all be over. I wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. Do I punish my uncle? Did my uncle really kill my father? Is the ghost a demon, or is he really my dad? I wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. To die, to sleep, no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. We don't know exactly what's going to happen after we die. What dreams may come. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? His quietus, his peace. He might make it with a knife. He might make peace with all of it with a knife. Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others we know not of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought. And enterprises of great pitch and moment, with this regard their currents turn away and lose the name of action. The resolution to put an end to it all is sicklied o'er, is cast into the shade by the pale cast of thought. You start thinking about what comes after I die, what might happen. It makes us too big a cowards to put an end to the burdens that we bear. So we just continue bearing them. Now he notices Ophelia. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia. Nymph, in thy orisons be all my sins remembered. Orisons are her prayers. Remember me in your prayers. Good my lord, how does your honor for this many a day? I humbly thank you. Well. My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have longed to redeliver. I pray you now receive them. You gave me letters and tokens. I have some tokens back for you. No, not I. I never gave you aught. My honored lord, you know right well you did, and with them words of so sweet breath composed as made the things more rich. Their perfume lost, take these again. For to the noble mind rich gifts wax poor, when givers prove unkind. Don't treat me like this, Hamlet. You gave me gifts. Their perfume is disappearing, but because it's been a while, but now I'm giving back to you more gifts. If the giver is unkind, the gift is worthless. There, my lord. Ha! Are you honest? My lord? Are you fair? What means your lordship? That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty. Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty? Aye, truly. For the power of beauty will sooner transform honesty from what it is to a bawd than the force of honesty can translate beauty into his likeness. This was sometime a paradox, but now the time gives it proof. You know, you're beautiful, Ophelia, but I don't trust you. I think you're in league with your dad and my uncle. I did love you once. Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so. You should not have believed me, for virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not. I was the more deceived. Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother had not borne me. I am very proud, revengeful, ambitious, with more offences at my beck than I have thoughts to put them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. What should such fellows as I do crawling between earth and heaven? We are errant knaves all, believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Go be a nun, Ophelia. You don't want to have children. You don't want to have more like me. Where's your father? At home, my lord. He's hiding. Let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere in his own house, but in his own house. Farewell. Oh, help him, you sweet heavens. Ophelia thinks he really is crazy. If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape calumny. Get thee to a nunnery. Farewell. Or, if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool. For wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery go, and quickly too. Farewell. Heavenly powers, restore him. I have heard of your paintings too well enough. God hath given you one face, you make yourselves another. Your paintings, it's your makeup. You make yourself up, maybe literally and figuratively. You make yourself up to give yourself another face, but you also pretend to be what you're not. Now, why is he being so hard on Ophelia? Is there another woman in this play who did an about face, turned on a dime, as they say, from one husband to another husband, who seemed to be one thing and she was not that thing? His mother. His mother gave herself one face, but had another. She seemed so devoted to his dad, and then he's barely dead a month. And she marries not only a man she shouldn't have married at all, her husband's brother, but as Hamlet suspects, she married her husband's murderer. You jig, you amble, you lisp, you nickname God's creatures, and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to, I'll no more on't. It hath made me mad. I say, we will have no more marriage. Those that are married already, all but one, shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To a nunnery, go. And he leaves. And Ophelia says, oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtier's, soldier's, scholar's eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and the rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. Hamlet had it all. He was the complete package. He was the courtier, the soldier, the scholar. He was the rose of the state, the glass of fashion. He had it all. And I, of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled, out of time and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth blasted with ecstasy. You know, the bells of his reason used to ring beautifully, and now they ring out of time and harsh. Oh, woe is me to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. All right, now the king and Polonius come out of hiding, and the king says, Love? His affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul, o'er which his melancholy sits on brood, and I do doubt the hatch and disclose will be some danger. Which for to prevent, I have in quick determination thus set it down, he shall with speed to England, for the demand of our neglected tribute. The king said, I don't know what his problem is, but he is brooding on something, and it's making him a little odd, and he may break out and be a danger. He may become violent. And to prevent him from becoming violent, I'm going to send him to England. I'm going to send him with some ambassadors to England on the pretense of gathering tribute from England that they owe us. But really it's to get him out of the way before he does something that we're all going to regret. Haply the seas and countries different with variable objects shall expel this something settled matter in his heart, whereon his brains, still beating, put him thus from fashion of himself. What think you on it? You know, maybe a change of scenery will do him good. Polonius says, it shall do well. But yet do I believe the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love. How now, Ophelia? You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. My lord, do as you please. But if you hold it fit, after the play, let his queen mother all alone entreat him to show his grief. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, to please you, in the ear of all their conference. He's going to do it again. After tonight's play, have Gertrude, have his mother call him to her private rooms. I'm going to hide and spy again, and I will eavesdrop on the whole thing, and I will report. And have his mother be blunt and chastise him in a motherly way. Why are you acting like this, Hamlet? What's your problem? And I'll listen to everything. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think. It shall be so. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. Okay, that is the end of scene 1. Scene 2, now it's evening. Excuse me. It's that evening. And they're getting ready for the play. And Hamlet is giving some last-minute instructions to the actors. He says, speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it, as so many of our players do, I had as lief the town's crier spoke my line. Nor do not saw the air too much with your hand thus, but use all gently. For in the very torrent, tempest, and as I may say, whirlwind of your passion, you must acquire and beget a temperance that may give it smoothness. It offends me to the soul to hear a robustious, periwig-pated fellow tear a passion to tatters, to the very rags, to split the ears of the groundlings, who for the most part are capable of nothing but inexplicable dumb shows and noise. I would have such a fellow whipped for o'erdoing termagant. It out Herods Herod. Pray you avoid it. He says basically, don't overact. Don't wave your hands in the air and speak bold, huge speeches that blast the people in the front rows. Herod is the Herod in the Bible. And it was notorious that actors at the time playing Herod would just really go over the top. Bluster and bellow, and he says, when actors do that, they out Herod Herod. The acting Herods are more Herodish than the actual historical Herod was when they act that way. The first player agrees, I warrant, your honor. Be not too tame neither, but let your own discretion be your tutor. Suit the action to the word and the word to the action, with this special observance, that you o'erstep not the modesty of nature. For anything so o'erdone is from the purpose of playing, whose end, both at the first and now, was and is to hold as it were a mirror up to nature, to show virtue her feature, scorn her own image, and the very age and body of the time his form and pressure. This is very interesting because Shakespeare is telling us what plays are for in a play. They hold the mirror up to nature. When you overact, you don't seem like you're holding a mirror to nature. But that's what we do, says the actor talking to an actor played by another actor on stage in a play. Now this overdone, or come tardy off, though it makes the unskilful laugh, cannot but make the judicious grieve, the censure of which one must in your allowance o'erweigh a whole theatre of others. Oh, there be players that I have seen play, and heard others praise, and that highly, not to speak it profanely, that neither having the accent of Christians, nor the gait of Christian, pagan, nor man, have so strutted and bellowed that I have thought some of nature's journeymen had made men and not made them well. They imitated humanity so abominably. I have seen some bad actors in my time, says Hamlet. I hope we have reformed that indifferently with us, sir. Oh, reform it altogether, and let those that play your clowns speak no more than is set down for them. For there be some of them that will themselves laugh, to set on some quantity of barren spectators to laugh too, though in the meantime some necessary question of the play be then to be considered. That's villainous, and shows a most pitiful ambition in the fool that uses it. Sometimes you have comic relief in your plays that go over the top and laugh at themselves and make jokes on themselves just to get a laugh, and they ruin the rest of the play. Don't let this happen. Go, make you ready. And in come Polonius, Guildenstern, and Rosencrantz. And Hamlet says, How now, my lord? Will the king hear this piece of work? And the queen too, and that presently. Bid the players make haste. Will you two help hasten them? He says to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Aye, my lord. What? Oh, Horatio! His friend Horatio is there. Here, sweet lord, at your service. Horatio, thou art e'en as just a man as e'er my conversation coped withal. Oh, my dear lord, nay, do not think I flatter. For what advancement may I hope from thee, that no revenue hast but thy good spirits to feed and clothe thee? Why should the poor be flattered? No, I'm not buttering you up, Horatio. I really mean, you're a dear friend to me. Why would I butter you up? What can you do for me? No, let the candied tongue lick absurd pomp, and crook the pregnant hinges of the knee, where thrift may follow fawning. Dost thou hear? Since my dear soul was mistress of her choice, and could of men distinguish her election, she hath sealed thee for herself, for thou hast been as one, in suffering all that suffers nothing. A man that fortune's buffets and rewards has taken with equal thanks, and blessed are those whose blood and judgment are so well commeddled that they are not a pipe for fortune's finger to sound what stop she please. Horatio, you're the kind of man who can take good fortune and bad. It's all one. You don't let the bad rock you too much. You don't rejoice too much in the good because you know it's fleeting. You're a man of sound sense. Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, aye, in my heart of heart, as I do thee. Something too much of this. There's a play tonight before the king. One scene of it comes near the circumstance which I have told thee of my father's death. I prithee, when thou seest that act afoot, even with the very comment of thy soul, observe my uncle. If his occulted guilt do not itself unkindle in one speech, it is a damned ghost that we have seen, and my imaginations are as foul as Vulcan's smithy. Give him heedful note, for I mine eyes will rivet to his face, and after we will both our judgments join in censure of his seeming. Okay, Horatio, I've set it up with the players. They're going to act out something very much like the murder of my father, as the ghost told it. If my uncle just sits there and doesn't react in any way, the ghost is a liar. If my uncle reacts, it's true. You, Horatio, watch him. and I'm going to watch him too. And then later we'll talk it over and see if we both agree. Well, my lord, if a steal aught the whilst this play is playing, and scape detecting, I'll pay the theft. All right. In come the king and queen and Ophelia and all the court. They're coming to the play. I must be idle. Get you a place. The king says, how fares our cousin Hamlet? Excellent, in faith. Of the chameleon's dish. I eat the air, promise crammed. You cannot feed capons so. I have nothing with this answer, Hamlet. These words are not mine. No, they're mine now. And he says to Polonius, my lord, you played once in the university, you say? You were an actor once? That did I, my lord, and was accounted a good actor. What did you enact? I did enact Julius Caesar. I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me. It was a brute part of him to kill so capital a calf there. Be the players ready? Aye, my lord, they stay upon your patience. Come hither, my dear Hamlet, says the queen, sit by me. No, good mother, here's metal more attractive. And he goes to Ophelia. Polonius to the king, ho, did you mark that? Lady, shall I lie in your lap? No, my lord. I mean, my head upon your lap. Aye, my lord. Do you think I meant country matters? Did you think lie in your lap meant something racy? I think nothing, my lord. That's a fair thought to lie between maids' legs. What is, my lord? Nothing. You're merry, my lord. Who, I? I, my lord. Oh, God, you're only jig-maker. How should a man do but be merry? For look you how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within this 2 hours. Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord. So long? Nay, then, let the devil wear black, for I'll have a suit of sables. Oh, heavens, die 2 months ago, and not forgotten yet. Then there's hope a great man's memory may outlive his life 1/2 a year. But by Our Lady, I must build churches then, or else shall suffer not thinking on, with the hobby horse, whose epitaph is, for oh, the hobby horse is forgot. You can look in the notes if you have them. Some of this it refers to things that make sense, but he's really just largely jabbering. All right, the trumpets sound, and in comes, it says, a dumb show, like a mime, a pantomime. It says, a king and queen come in. These are the actors. The queen embraces him. She kneels and makes a show of protestation unto him, like, no, I'll never do that. He takes her up and declines his head upon her neck. He lies him down upon a bank of flowers. She, seeing him asleep, leaves him. Anon comes in another man, takes off his crown, kisses it, pours poison in the sleeper's ears, and leaves him. The queen returns, finds the king dead, and makes passionate action. She's really upset. The poisoner, with some 3 or 4 come in, seem to condole her. The dead body is carried away. The poisoner woos the queen with gifts. She seems harsh a while, but in the end accepts his love. Okay, so they act all this out. Ophelia says, what means this, my lord? Mary, this mitching malecho, it means mischief. Belike this show imports the argument of the play. Hamlet says, we shall know by this fellow. An actor comes out. The players cannot keep counsel. They'll tell all. So now the players are going to come out and act it out with words. Will it tell us what this show meant? Aye, or any show that you will show him. Be not you ashamed to show. He'll not shame to tell you what it means. You are not. I'll mark the play. Here comes the play. For us and for our tragedy, here stooping to your clemency, we beg your hearing patiently. Is this a prologue or the posy of a ring? 'Tis brief, my lord. Hamlet's impatient to get going. He wants to see how his uncle reacts. And she says, oh, it's just a brief prologue. 'Tis brief, my lord. As woman's love. All right. The player, the actor, king, and queen come in. And the actor king starts. Full 30 times hath Phoebus's cart gone round Neptune's salt wash, and Tellus' orbed ground, and 30 dozen moons with borrowed sheen about the world have times 12 30s been, since love our hearts and hymen did our hands unite in commutual, unite commutual in most sacred bands. He says, it's been X number of years since we've been married. So many journeys may the sun and moon make us again count o'er ere love be done. But woe is me, you are so sick of late, so far from cheer and from your former state, that I distrust you. Yet, though I distrust, discomfort you, my lord, it nothing must. For women's fear and love hold quantity, in neither aught or in extremity. Now what my love is, proof hath made you know, and as my love is sized, so my fear is so. Where love is great, the littlest doubts are fear. Where little fears grow great, great love grows there. So I'm worried about you. I'm worried if you haven't been well. And the more I worry, the more that shows I love you. He says, faith, I must leave thee, love, and shortly too. My operant powers their functions leave to do. And thou shalt live in this fair world behind, honored, beloved, and haply one as kind, for husband shalt thou. He says, well, someday I am going to die, and you're going to be alone. And he says, someday you'll find another husband, but she interrupts him. Oh, confound the rest! Such love must needs be treason in my breast. In second husband let me be accursed. None wed the second, but who killed the first. Wormwood, wormwood, he says. The instances of the second marriage move are base respects of thrift, but none of love. When women get married again for money, they don't ever get married again for love. A second time I kill my husband dead, when second husband kisses me in bed. He says, I do believe you think what now you speak, but what we do determine oft we break. Purpose is but the slave to memory, of violent birth but poor validity, which now, like fruit unripe, sticks on the tree, but fall unshaken when they mellow be. Most necessary 'tis that we forget to pay ourselves what to ourselves is debt. What to ourselves in passion we propose, the passion ending, doth the purpose lose. When we're all worked up about something, sometimes we make promises we don't intend to keep, and we're certainly not going to keep. I think this might be one of them, he says to the queen. The violence of either grief or joy their own inactures with themselves destroy. Where joy most revels, grief doth most lament. Grief joys, joy grieves, on slender accident. This world is not for aye, nor 'tis not strange that even our love should with our fortunes change. For 'tis a question left us yet to prove, whether love dead fortune, or else fortune love. Whether love lead fortune, or else fortune love. The great man down, you mark his favorite flies. The poor advanced makes friends of enemies. And hitherto doth love on fortune tend. And for who not needs shall never lack a friend. And who in want a hollow friend doth try, directly seasons him his enemy. But orderly to end where I begun, our wills and fates do so contrary run, that our devices still are overthrown. Our thoughts are ours, their ends none of our own. In other words, to sum up, time changes things. You can't account for every twist of fortune when you make a promise. So think thou wilt no second husband wed, but die thy thoughts when thy first lord is dead. She says, nor earth to me give food, nor heaven light, sport and repose lock from me day and night, to desperation turn my trust and hope, and anchor's cheer in prison be my scope. Each opposite that blanks the face of joy, meet what I would have well and it destroy. Both here and hence pursue me lasting strife, if once a widow, ever I be wife. Hamlet says, oh, if she should break it now. The player king says, 'tis deeply sworn. Sweet, leave me here a while. My spirits grow dull, and fain I would beguile the tedious day with sleep. He falls asleep, and she says, sleep rock thy brain, and never come mischance between us twain. And she leaves him sleeping in the garden. How do you like this play? Hamlet asks Ophelia. He asked the queen, I'm sorry. The lady doth protest too much, methinks. Oh, but she'll keep her word. The king asks, have you heard the argument? Have you heard the rest of this play, the plot of the play? Is there no offense in it? No, no, they do but jest. Poison in jest. No offense in the world. What do you call the play? The Mousetrap. Because he's going to trap the king. Mary, how? Tropically. This play is the image of a murder done in Vienna. Gonzago is the duke's name, his wife Baptista. You shall see anon. 'Tis a knavish piece of work, but what of that? Your Majesty, and we that have free souls, it touches us not. Well, this doesn't have anything to do with us. Let the galled jade winch, our withers are unwrung. All right. Another guy comes in. Oh, this is one Lucianus, nephew to the king. Ophelia says, you're as good as a chorus, my lord, because he's explaining who everyone is. Why? Because he wrote it. This is the part he wants put in. I could interpret between you and your love if I could see the puppets dallying. You are keen, my lord, you are keen. It would cost you a groaning to take off mine edge. He's making some sort of racy sexual innuendo puns and jokes. Still better and worse, she says. So you mistake your husbands. Begin, murderer. Leave thy damnable faces and begin, because the guy, the actor, is steering himself up and making all sorts of faces. Hamlet says, just get on with it. Come, the croaking raven doth bellow for revenge. All right, here comes the poisoner in the play, within the play. Thoughts black, hands apt, drugs fit, and time agreeing, confederate season else no creature seeing, thou mixture rank of midnight weeds collected, with Hecate's band thrice blasted, thrice infected, thy natural magic and dire property on wholesome life usurp immediately. And he pours the poison in the sleeping king actor's ears. Hamlet jumps up. He poisons him in the garden for his estate. His name's Gonzago. The story is extant and written in very choice Italian. You shall see anon how the murderer gets the love of Gonzago's wife. The king, not the player king. The king, Hamlet's uncle, stands up. He's getting fired up. And remember, that's what they're watching for. Is this gonna strike a chord? Ophelia says, the king rises. What? Frighted with false fire? The queen says, how fares my lord? Give o'er the play. Give me some light. Away. Lights, 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 says Polonius. The king leaves. He doesn't even listen to the rest of the play. And Hamlet and Horatio are left behind. Why, let the strucken deer go weep, the heart ungalled play. For some must watch and some must sleep, thus runs the world away. He sings. He's really happy because he just got his answer. Would not this, sir, and a forest of feathers, if the rest of my fortunes turn Turk with me, with 2 provincial roses on my raised shoes, get me a fellowship and a cry of players? Half a share. A whole one, I deserve a share in a playing troupe. I wrote that. I wrote those speeches. And it did the trick. I got everything out of it I wanted. For thou dost know, O Damon dear, this realm dismantled was of Jove himself, and now reigns here a very, very Pajock. You might have rhymed. Dismantled would have been, was an ass would have rhymed for Shakespeare. Now reigns here a very, very ass, the king. Horatio says, you might have rhymed. Oh, good Horatio. I'll take the ghost's word for 1,000 pound. Didst perceive? Very well, my lord. Upon the talk of the poisoning? I did very well note him. Ah, come, music, come, the recorders. For if the king like not the comedy, why then belike he likes it not pretty. Come, some music. He's over the top happy. There's only Horatio knows why. Because he thinks he's got his answer. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in. Good my lord, vouchsafe me a word with you. Sir, a whole history. The king, sir. Aye, sir, what of him? Is in his retirement marvellous distempered. With drink, sir? No, my lord, with choler. Your wisdom should show itself more richer to signify this to the doctor. For me to put him to his purgation would perhaps plunge him into more choler. Choler's angry. He says the king's in his room and he's not feeling well. He says, oh, is he drunk too much? He says, no, he's angry. He says, well, you ought to go talk to his doctor about that, not me, because if he talks to me, he's going to get more angry. Good my lord, put your discourse into some frame, and start not so wildly from my affair. Guildenstern says, will you please give me answers that make sense? I am tame. Pronounce. The queen, your mother, in most great affliction of spirit, has sent me to you. You are welcome. Nay, good my lord, this courtesy is not of the right breed. If it shall please you to make a wholesome answer, I will do your mother's commandment. If not, your pardon and my return shall be the end of my business. Sir, I cannot. What, my lord? Make you a wholesome answer. My wit's diseased. But, sir, such answer as I can make you shall command, or rather, as you say, my mother. Therefore, no more but to the matter. My mother, you say? Then thus she says, your behavior hath struck her into amazement and admiration. Ah, wonderful son that can so astonish a mother. But is there no sequel at the heels of this mother's admiration? Impart. She desires to speak with you in her closet ere you go to bed. We shall obey, were she 10 times our mother. Have you any further trade with us? My lord, you did love me once, and do still by these pickers and stealers. Good my lord, what is the cause of your distemper? You do surely bar the door upon your own liberty if you deny your griefs to your friend. Sir, I lack advancement. How can that be when you have the voice of the king himself for your succession in Denmark? Aye, sir, but while the grass grows. Proverb is something musty. My footnote says the rest of the proverb is the silly horse starves. Hamlet may not live long enough to succeed to the kingdom. While the grass grows, the silly horse starves. While my uncle, who shouldn't be king in the first place, remains king. Maybe he won't want me to ever be king. You know, if he killed my dad, he may kill me. The players come in and they have recorders, flutes. Oh, the recorders. Let me see one. To withdraw with you. Why do you not go about to recover the wind of me, as if you would drive me into a toil? He asks him, why are you pumping me for information? Oh, my lord, if my duty be too bold, my love is too unmannerly. Well, it's just because I love you. I do not well understand that. Will you play upon this pipe? My lord, I cannot. I pray you. Believe me, I cannot. I do beseech you. I know not the touch of it, my lord. It is as easy as lying. Govern these vintages with your fingers and thumb, give it breath with your mouth, and it will discourse most eloquent music. Look you, these are the stops. But these cannot I command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill. Why, look you now how unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass. And there is much music, most excellent voice in this little organ, yet cannot you make it speak. Spud, do you think that I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, you cannot play upon me. You know, Guildenstern's like, well, we love you. We're just concerned about you. Oh, will you play on this flute? I don't know how. Play it. Well, I don't know how. I don't know how to play it. And he says, yeah, you're trying to play me? Am I easier to play a tune on than the pipe? You think you can sound my stops? You think you can pump me for information and I'm just going to spill my guts to you? Polonius comes in. And Hamlet says to him, God bless you, sir. My lord, the queen would speak with you, and presently. Now, Hamlet is getting tired of Polonius too, and Polonius humoring him. So he's going to, make a similar demonstration as he just did with the recorder. Do you see yonder cloud that's almost in the shape of a camel? Polonius says, by the mass, 'tis like a camel indeed. Methinks it's like a weasel. Oh, it's backed like a weasel. Or like a whale? Very like a whale. Polonius will just agree with anything he says. He's not really engaging with him. Then I will come to my mother by and by. They fool me to the top of my bent. I will come by and by. I will say so. By and by is easily said. Leave me, friends. They all leave, including Horatio, and Hamlet is alone. 'Tis now the very witching time of night, when churchyards yawn and hell itself breathes out contagion to this world. Now could I drink hot blood, and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on. Soft now to my mother. O heart, lose not thy nature. Let not ever the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. He's going to talk to his mother. He isn't going to be a Nero and kill his mother. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. My tongue and soul in this be hypocrites. How in my words somever she be shent, to give them seals never, my soul consent. All right, I'm going to rip her apart with words. I'm going to tell her what I think of her actions, but I'm not going to harm her in any way. Okay, scene 3. The king is talking to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Remember, he's decided he's going to send Hamlet to England to allay any possible harm. And he told Polonius maybe it's because of a change of scenery will do him good. The king says, I like him not, nor stands it safe with us to let his madness range. Therefore prepare you. I your commission will forthwith dispatch, and he to England shall along with you. The terms of our estate may not endure hazard so nears as doth hourly grow out of his brows. We cannot have a dangerous madman at court. We will ourselves provide. Most holy and religious fear it is to keep those many, many bodies safe that live and feed upon your majesty. Well, you're right to send him away, king, because, all of Denmark depends on you to keep it safe. The single and peculiar life is bound with all the strength and armor of the mind to keep itself from annoyance, but much more that spirit upon whose weal depends and rests the lives of many. Rosencrantz says the same thing. Everybody wants to get rid of annoyances, but the king really, really needs to because he's protecting the whole country. The cess of majesty dies not alone, but like a gulf doth draw what's near it with it. Or it is a massy wheel fixed on the summit of the highest mount, to whose huge spokes 10,000 lesser things are morticed and adjoined, which, when it falls, each small annexment, petty consequence, attends the boisterous ruin. The king is like a wheel, like a huge wheel, and a bunch of stuff is attached to it on the spokes. And if that wheel falls, everything falls with it. Never alone did the king sigh, but with a general groan. The king says, arm you, I pray you, to this speedy voyage, for we will fetters put about this fear, which now goes too free-footed. We will haste us. They leave, and Polonius comes in. Polonius says, my lord, he's going to his mother's closet. Behind the arras, I'll convey myself to hear the process. I'm going to hide behind a curtain and eavesdrop. I'll warrant she'll tax him home. And as you said, and wisely was it said, 'tis meet that some more audience than a mother, since nature makes them partial, should o'erhear the speech of vantage. If we just rely on her to tell us what he said, she may color it a little bit because she's his mom. So it's really good for someone else to be a witness. Fare you well, my liege. I'll call upon you ere you go to bed, and tell you what I know. Thanks, my dear lord. Now, Polonius leaves, and this is the first time we've ever seen the king alone or heard the king alone. Oh, my offense is rank. It smells to heaven. It hath the primal eldest curse upon it of brother's murder. Pray can I not, though inclination be as sharp as will. I want to pray. I can't pray. My stronger guilt defeats my strong intent, and like a man to double business bound, I stand in pause where I shall first begin, and both neglect. What if this cursed hand were thicker than itself with brother's blood? Is there not rain enough in the sweet heavens to wash it white as snow? Whereto serves mercy but to confront the visage of offense? And what's in prayer but this twofold force, to be forestalled ere we come to fall, or pardoned being down? Then I'll look up. My fault is past. He says, God can forgive anything. So, great, I'll pray. I should just pray, because there's mercy. But oh, what form of prayer can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder? That cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder, my crown, mine own ambition, and my queen. Do I say, God, forgive my foul murder, and still stay king? Can I keep everything I got by the murder and say, forgive me my murder? May one be pardoned and retain the offense? In the corrupted currents of this world, offence's gilded hand may shove by justice, and oft 'tis seen the wicked prize itself buys out the law. But 'tis not so above. You can bribe people on earth, not in heaven. There is no shuffling. There the action lies in its true nature, and we ourselves compelled, even to the teeth and forehead of our faults, to give in evidence. What then? What rests? Try what repentance can. What can it not? Yet what can it, when one cannot repent? Well, you'll repent and do as much as repentance can do, but what can repentance do? Am I really sorry if I keep everything? O wretched state! O bosom black as death! O limed soul, that struggling to be free art more engaged! Help, angels! Make essay, bow stubborn knees, and heart with strings of steel be soft as sinews of the newborn babe. All may be well. And he kneels down and he tries to pray. And right at that moment, Hamlet passes by with a sword. And he's got his perfect opportunity. Kill him. Now might I do it, Pat. Now he's a-praying. Now I'll do it. And he thinks, wait a minute. I want to kill him while he's praying? I want to kill him while he's in repentance? And so he goes to heaven. And so am I revenged. That would be scanned. A villain kills my father. And for that, I, his sole son, do this same villain send to heaven. Why, this is higher in salary, not revenge. I took my father grossly, full of bread, with all his crimes broad blown, as flesh as May. And how his audit stands, who knows save heaven? He killed my father, not repentant, not in any sort of religious observance, with all his crimes on his head. And I'm going to kill his murderer while he's praying? But in our circumstance and course of thought, 'tis heavy with him. And am I then revenged? To take him in the purging of his soul, when he is fit and seasoned for his passage? No. Up sword, and know thou a more horrid hint. When he is drunk asleep, or in his rage, or in the incestuous pleasure of his bed, at game a-swearing, or about some act that hath no relish of salvation in it, then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven, and that his soul may be as damned and black as hell, whereto it goes. My mother stays. This physic but prolongs thy sickly days. This physic is the pause on the revenge. The medicine is the fact that Hamlet's not going to kill him right away. But it's just brief. It just prolongs thy sickly days. Thy sickly days, because you're a dirty, rotten murderer. I'm just going to let you live a little bit longer, and I'm going to wait for a better opportunity to send you straight to hell. And this just but prolongs your days a few. And then he leaves, and then he finds out, well, Claudius reveals to us, the prayers were doing no good. My words fly up, my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to heaven go. All right. This is a long act. Stick with me. Or if you need to pause, note the time on the video and come back. We're going to go right straight into scene 4. Remember, Gertrude, the queen, is waiting for Hamlet. Polonius is there. He's going to hide. Polonius says, it will come straight. Look you lay home to him. Tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that your grace hath screened and stood between much heat and him. Tell him you're protecting him from the king. He's going too far. I'll sconce me even here. Pray you, be round with him. And Hamlet's calling, Mother, Mother. I'll warrant you, says the queen. Fear me not. I'll be blunt with him. Withdraw. I hear him coming. Polonius hides, and Hamlet comes in. Now, mother, what's the matter? Hamlet, thou hast thy father much offended. Mother, you have my father much offended. She means his uncle by your father. He means his father by his father. Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue. Go, go, you question with a wicked tongue. Why, how now, Hamlet? What's the matter now? Have you forgot me? No, by the rood, no. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so, you are my mother. Nay, then, I'll set those to you that can speak. Come, come, sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you. You sit down. You're not going anywhere, and I'm going to have a talk with you. She thinks she's going to have a talk with him. I'm going to have a talk with you. And she makes her sit down. What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me. Help, ho! And a voice behind the curtain, that'd be Polonius. What ho? Help! How now? A rat? Dead for a ducat, dead. And Hamlet stabs him right through the curtain. Oh, I am slain, says Polonius, and he falls. The queen says, Oh me, what hast thou done? Nay, I know not. Is it the king? He thinks Claudius has slipped in, left his prayers, and slipped in before he got there. Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this! A bloody deed, almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother. As kill a king? Aye, lady, that was my word. He pulls back the curtain, Hamlet does, and he sees it's Polonius. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool! Farewell. I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune. Thou find'st to be too busy is some danger. Leave wringing of your hands, he says to his mother. Peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for so I shall if it be made of penetrable stuff. If damned custom have not brazed it so that it be proof and bulwark against sense. If the horrible thing of marrying your brother-in-law a month after your husband's death hasn't just made you hard as stone, then I'm going to wring feeling out of you. She says, What have I done, that thou darest wag thy tongue in noise so rude against me? Such an art that blurs the grace of blush and modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as dicers' oaths. Oh, such a deed as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words. Heaven's face does glow over this solidity and compound mass with heated visage, as against the doom is thought sick at the act. She said, you've done something horrible. The universe is looking on at the horrible thing you've done. She says, I mean, what act that roars so loud and thunders in the index? Look here, upon this picture and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. He has two pictures, one of his dad, one of his uncle. First he shows his dad. See what a grace was seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls, the front of Jove himself, an eye like Mars to threaten and command, a station like the herald Mercury new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill, a combination and a form indeed where every god did seem to set his seal, to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now at what follows. This is your husband. Like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Ha! Have you eyes? You cannot call it love. For at your age the heyday in the blood is tame, it's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? Sense, sure you have, else you could not have motion. But sure that sense is apoplexed, for madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such a difference. Apparently you have reason because you move around. You're sentient, you're conscious, but what kind of reason do you have? Who would Be married to this, and then marry this. What devil was it that thus has cozened you at Hoodman blind? Eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands or eyes, smelling sans all, or but a sickly part of one true sense could not so mope. If all your senses were gone, but one partial sense, you still wouldn't make such a stupid choice. Oh, shame, where is thy blush? Rebellious hell, if thou canst mutiny in a matron's bones, to flaming youth let virtue be as wax and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will. O Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turn'st mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will not leave their tinct. Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty. Oh, speak to me no more. These words, like daggers, enter in my ears. No more, sweet Hamlet. A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your precedent lord, a vice of kings, a cut purse of the empire and the rule, that from the shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. No more. All right, he's still chewing her out, but we see the ghost come in. A king of shreds and patches. And then Hamlet sees it. Save me, and hover o'er me with your wings, you heavenly guards. What would your gracious figure? The queen doesn't see him. Alas, he's mad. Do you not come your tardy son to chide, that lapsed in time and passion? Let's go by the important acting of your dread command? Oh, say, are you here to tell me to get on with my revenge? The ghost says, do not forget. This visitation is but to whet thy almost blunted purpose. Why haven't you done anything about this yet, Hamlet? Just twiddling your thumbs. But look, amazement on thy mother sits. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakest bodies, strongest works. Speak to her, Hamlet. She's really scared because Hamlet's now talking to thin air, in her opinion. She can't see the ghost, and she thinks Hamlet is completely bonkers. Hamlet says, how is it with you, lady? Alas, how is it with you, that you do bend your eye on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair, the life in excrements, start up and stand an end. O gentle sun, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper sprinkle cool patience. Whereupon do you look? On him, on him! Look how pale he glares. His form and cause conjoined, preaching to stones would make them capable. If stones saw that sight and it said, revenge me, the stones would cry out. Do not look upon me, he stopped talking to the ghost, lest with this piteous action you convert my stern effects. Then what I have to do will want true color, tears perchance for blood. To whom do you speak this? Do you see nothing there? Nothing at all, yet all that is I see. Nor do you hear nothing? No, nothing but ourselves. Why, look you there, how it steals away. My father, in his habit as he lived. Look where he goes, even now out at the portal. And the ghost, he just screamed to his mother, it's my dad, it's my dad. She says, this is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless creation ecstasy is very cunning in. You're imagining, you're hallucinating. Ecstasy? My pulse as yours doth temperately keep time, and makes us healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass but my madness speaks. Yeah, don't think I'm crazy, and now everything I've said to you tonight, you can just ignore. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whiles rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past. Avoid what is to come. And do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them rancor. forgive me this my virtue, for in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon beg. Yea, curb and woo for leave to do him good. You, Mom, need to repent of whatever part you had in this. You certainly did remarry quickly. And forgive me also if I've been too rough on you. O Hamlet, thou hast cleft my soul in twain. Oh, throw away the worser part of it, and live the purer with the other half. Good night. Do not go to my uncle's bed. Assume a virtue, if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense doth eat, of habits devil, is angel yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy. For use almost can change the stamp of nature, and either the devil or throw it, or either something the devil or throw him out with wondrous potency. You need to avoid sleeping with my uncle anymore. That needs to end. And you know what? You can develop a new habit. You can live without him. Once more, good night. And when you are desirous to be blessed, I'll blessing beg of you. For this same Lord, Polonius, I do repent. But heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel only to be kind. Thus bad begins, and worse remains behind. One more word, good lady. What shall I do? Not this, by no means, that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed, pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse, and let him, for a pair of reechy kisses, or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers, make you to ravel all this matter out, that I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft. All right? If he comes, ooh, Queenie, Queenie, I love you, what did Hamlet say? You can let him know, I am not mad, I'm not crazy, but mad in craft. 'Twere good you let him know. For who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, would from a paddock, from a bat, a jib, such dear concernings hide? Who would do so? No, in spite of sense and secrecy, unpeg the basket on the house's top, and let the birds fly, and like the famous ape, to try conclusions, in the basket creep and break your own neck down. Be thou assured, if words be made of breath, and breath of life, I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me. I must to England. You know that. Alack, I had forgot. 'Tis so concluded on. There's letters sealed, and my two schoolfellows, whom I will trust as I will adders fanged, they bear the mandate. They must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery. Let it work, for 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard, and it shall go hard, but I will delve 1 yard below their mines and blow them to the moon. In other words, he knows they're up to no good and they mean him harm. The king is in on it, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are in on it, and he said, it is sport, this is a very famous line, to have the engineer hoist on his own petard. My note says, a petard, an explosive used to blow in a door or make a breach. So in other words, the engineer of this is going to get blown up with his own bomb. And it will go hard, but I will delve 1 yard below their mines. Like they're besieging Hamlet. You know, they're undermining his walls. I'm going to undermine their mines. I'm smarter than they are. Oh, 'tis most sweet when in one line 2 crafts directly meet. This man shall set me packing. I'll lug the guts, Polonius, into the neighbor room. Mother, good night indeed. This counselor, Polonius, is now most still, most secret, and most grave, who was in life a foolish, prating knave. Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you. Good night, mother. And he leaves, dragging Polonius, dead, out of her room. All right, and that ends Act 3. See you next time for Act 4.